This is the Pescarolo C60. I know some of you other car nuts watching this video are raising your eyebrows at that declaration just because of the livery alone, but just stick around for the explanation before typing any angry comments trying to correct me. To put it simply, I want to follow the Pescarolo version specifically for this video, not the entire life of it. Mainly because I only have the mod for the Pescarolo version and still want to make a video about it. But anyways, why don't I just get to the history and clear up what I mean? So, the Pescarolo C60 originally started life as the Courage C60. Courage is a racing manufacturer that's actually now part of Orica. Before that merger, they used to build cars all the way back in the Group C days, though back then they were called Cougars. I'm more read up on the cars than the companies, so I don't know why they changed from Cougar to Courage. Could it be because the stigma of the Cougar term? Well, this isn't a strictly 18-plus channel, so I won't be going much further into detail on that subject. Either way, in the early 1990s, Yves Courage changed the name of his cars from Cougar to Courage. Back to Courage, they built the C60 to replace their older C52 in 2000. In 2001, Pescarolo Sport decided to purchase Courage's newest car, as the company did make complete packages instead of just chassis, and decided to remove the 4-liter naturally aspirated Judd GV4 V10 engine. They decided to replace it with a 3.2-liter twin-turbocharged Sodemo Peugeot A32 V6 engine in each of their cars. The Courage C60 was built to comply originally with the LMP 900 rules. As such, its aerodynamic grip is quite strong both on top and underneath. Though, to be fair, every prototype sports car built during and after the Group C era had tons of aerodynamic grip to it. You already know the engines they used, but instead of standard transmissions, they used a more modern sequential gearbox. You guys would know it as a paddle shifter. Instead of using a shifter mounted to the right of the driver to change gears, it was mounted on the steering wheel for easy and quick shifting. With the lack of having to clutch in or throttle blip between gears, it naturally made the acceleration of cars a lot quicker in the era sequential shifters came into prominence. The Courage C60 was no exception. Pescarolo began using the C60 in 2001, debuting the car at the 12 Hours of Sebring. They didn't have any problems at the start of the race. However, after 167 laps, the car had some engine problems and had to retire. Though even with that problem, they were still classified 7th place in the class, and 25th overall. Now, that classification isn't too bad until you consider there were only 9 LMP 900 cars on the grid at that race. That makes it sting just a little bit more, I have to admit. The first year in general was rocky for the Pescarolo C60, because the next race, the 2 hours and 30 minutes of Catalunya, the car suffered another engine problem that forced them to retire. Though after that, they seem to have solved the engine problems, as the 2 hours 30 minutes of Donington Park, they managed to take 4th place, which was the fastest of the non-Audi entries. Yeah, this car was around during Audi's assault of the LMP era, where it was quite a powerful contender, and the fact it scored race wins and poles in it speaks to how well it performed in its life as a whole, not just in one season. Anyways, back to the first year of Pescarolo's use of the car. After the 4th race in Donington, their car suffered an oil pump problem in the 1,000 kilometers of Monza, forcing them to retire from the race. Yet another retirement to the list. The next race on the calendar was the 24-hour Le Mans. Pescarolo Sport decided to field 2 cars for this race, though despite the added effort, they only completed the race with 1 car at the end. The first car achieved a 4th place in the LMP 900 class and a 13th place overall, while the second one crashed out after 42 laps. It was another pretty good result considering its issues in the beginning of the season. By the time they raced next at the 1,000 kilometers of Essotril, they managed to achieve their first victory using the Peugeot-powered C60. Though it wouldn't be a cut-and-dry victory. They were actually disqualified in the beginning for ignoring blue flags, but it eventually got overturned and their result validated once more. And hot on the heels of that victory, Pescarolo's C60 achieved another victory at the 2 hours 30 minutes of Manicourt, And rounding off the season, they achieved a second place at the 2 hours 30 minutes of the Nürburgring. They had a bit of a rough start, but came through pretty well towards the end. And those last two victories for the Pescarolo team were definitely the icing on top of the cake. While it would have been nice for Pescarolo to shoot higher on their second season, they instead had another pretty rocky one. Their breakout race at Catalunya, the Pescarolo C60, achieved first place. The following race, the 2 hours 30 minutes of Esso Trill, the Pescarolo team achieved a fourth place. The 24-hour Le Mans saw Pescarolo field two cars again for the 2002 race. However, only one car completed the race again. The first car finished 10th overall and 9th in the class, and their other car DNF'd due to engine trouble after 144 laps. Following their lower position at Le Mans, Pescarolo gained a second place position at Magny-Cours. Another podium was in the cards for the team in the following race at Dijon as well, as their car took third place in that 2 hour 30 minute race. Rounding out the season that year was the 2 hours 30 minutes of Spa, and Pescarolo's car ended the season with a first place. Yeah, that second season was quite the rough one, eh? But there weren't really any problems with the car that year as opposed to the first year with it, so it was a net positive in terms of their performance, at least to me. The 2003 season was pretty much more of the same, with a first race at Esso Trill yielding a first place position for Pescarolo. Le Mans saw them getting an 8th and 9th position overall, and a 6th and 7th in the LMP 900 category. Then the following three races at Monza, Oschersleben, and Donington, they DNF'd out of all the races. The next race at Spa saw Pescarolo's team return to the front of the grid with a second place. Then, much like last year, their final race of the season, racing at Nogaro, saw them achieve a first place. As 2004 came around, new rules and a new racing series came into existence. As a part of the new Le Mans Endurance Series, LMP 900 rules were done away with, and the LMP 1 rules arrived. Despite the new rules, Pescarolo stuck with the Courage C60, officially renaming it to the Pescarolo C60. However, they decided to switch out their Peugeot engines with Judd GV5 V10s in their cars. The first race of the 2004 season, the 1,000 kilometers of Monza, they achieved a fourth place, which was the fastest of the non-Audi entries. In the 24 hours of Le Mans, Pescarolo took two cars again, and while one DNF'd, as usual at this point, the other went on to achieve fourth, once again being the fastest non-Audi of the race. Next up on the relatively small 2004 schedule was the 1,000 kilometers of the Nürburgring, where Pescarolo Sport managed a P5. On the last race of the season, at the 1,000 kilometers of Spa, the C60 would be forced to retire due to accident damage, putting more of a sour end to the season. Thankfully, though, their luck would turn around next season. With the 2005 season came updated LMP1 rules, prompting Pescarolo to develop their C60 further. Now called the Pescarolo C60 Hybrid, they stuck with their Judd GV5 engines and, as the name suggests, the car became a hybrid. The 1,000 kilometers of Spa was the first event on the calendar, and Pescarolo Sport's new C60 Hybrid finished second in the race. That wasn't as good as some of their previous seasons with their breakout race, but they weren't really lagging too much during this season. Case in point, their second race, the 24-hour Le Mans. In every other year they participated, they couldn't really get into the podium no matter what they tried. However, this year they managed to get second place. They were finally on the podium. It's just a shame the other one DNF'd again. Never mind that. Let's continue with the races. At the 1,000 kilometers of Monza that followed Le Mans, Pescarolo grabbed their first victory of the 2005 season. However, remember how I said they weren't really lagging behind too much during the season? Yeah, this is where a poor result happens. Where exactly? At the 1,000 kilometers of Silverstone, where Pescarolo's car managed a 34th overall and a 17th in class. Yeah, that was a bad one. Still, they didn't let that result deter them. They pushed back hard, gaining a fourth place at the following race at Nürburgring. Then, at the final round at Istanbul, Pescarolo took another victory, solidifying their positions as the champions of the 2005 Le Mans Endurance Series. Their first ever team's championship had been won, and they followed it up next year with another title. However, they were even more dominant. As in, every race in the season, they won. And what's more, they finally managed to have both of their cars complete the 24-hour Le Mans that year. Unfortunately, in the 2007 LMP1 rules, the Pescarolo C60 was rendered obsolete, which prompted the team to retire the car in favor of the newly developed Pescarolo 01. Stay tuned for a possible video on that later. The C60 had a pretty good run, despite its rocky start. It was competitive through the entire time it was used, even with the problems it had in the early stages. And when all the problems were ironed out, it became a force to be reckoned with. Unlike my two previous videos, I've known about Pescarolo's LMPs for a while, and I'm glad I was finally able to make a video about one of them. It's a really cool car in my opinion, and the color scheme of the livery always is just a great job in my book. And on top of that, it was really fun to drive for this video as well. While not being from the same author, it balanced really well with the cars from the VRC's prototype mods. I had a lot of fun wheel-to-wheel action. If you guys want to check this car out for yourself, you can do so by going to Assetto Turismo's Patreon page again. I know I keep talking about cars on his Patreon page, but that's just because of how fun the cars he's made have been. Each car I talk about has been influenced by how fun the car is to drive in the simulator, and nothing else really. But anyways, if you guys liked the video, I'd really love it if you leaved a like on the video, subscribe for more of my content, and remember to click the bell icon to stay notified when I release more videos in the future. And with all that, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you all later. Bye!